Hello, and welcome back to Owens Bay and the city of Queensport. What you can see happening right here is we're in a bit of a time lapse. It went on way too long for the amount of stuff I actually built, and rather than boring everybody with an hour-long video of not building much of anything, I decided to do this little segment as a time lapse, and later on we'll go back to just a normal speed video. What I'm working on here is I am putting in the first official historical landmark in the city of Queensport, and I'm using this villa out of the signature buildings for it. It's not quite correct for Pacific Northwest theme, but it's the best we can do. What I'm going to use it for is I am going to create a location that I'm going to call Hawthorn's Vineyard. This is going to be for a historical figure in the city. I've come up with the name of Reginald Hawthorn. And he is, I'm a little undecided yet. He's either going to be the first mayor of the city, or he might even be the first governor of the colony. I'm kind of leaning to the governor of the colony, but that would also imply that Queensport is the capital. I'm not sure how I feel about that. What I'm doing here is I'm just doing some general terraforming and laying out the groundwork of how I want this site to look. I'm putting in a parking lot because it's going to be a tourist attraction, so tourists need a place to park. That's what I'm building right now. And now I'm just checking the sight lines. It's important for me that buildings like this have good visibility, especially from streets and highways. That's kind of how I arranged most of the significant buildings in my city. Is they need to look good from the road. So this one has a very nice sight line from that main road we were looking at earlier. Right now I'm just adding some grass, just trying to figure out the general layout of how I want this building to occupy this hillside. Right now I'm planting in some spruce and oak. I think there's some alder might have been mixed in there by mistake. Spruce and oak are my go-to trees for dense forest areas which are directly connected or touching urban areas, kind of implying that the oak is kind of an invasive species, and as people moved in, the invasive species is kind of moving into the adjacent landscape. Right now I'm drawing in a vineyard. I'm using the saplings birch for the vines. It's not perfect. They're sunk about a meter into the ground, so they don't stick up like trees. They look more like bushes on the ground. I'm also using, on the right side there, I'm also planting in some apple trees. Now I'm doing a little detailing here, kind of making these paths in between the rows of plants, just to give it the ground a little more variation, make it look a little nicer from a distance. This sort of stuff is really pretty tedious to do right now, I have to admit. We have to remember this is still really early days for City Skylines 2. I have no doubt this sort of detailing will become much easier in the future. But right now the tools are somewhat limited, so it's kind of like you have to do it the hard way. I don't mind. It's a learning process. The more techniques I learn how to work with the game, the more versatile I can be at detailing in the future. And this is one of the reasons why this video is so long. This actually takes a fair amount of time to do. Now, what I'm trying to do here is what I really wanted would be ideal would be like a cypress type tree. Not very common to the Pacific Northwest, but we do have these the trees that make up cedar hedges. We don't have a tree like that in game. So what I've done here is I took the young poplars and I've sunk them, I think maybe a meter into the ground to kind of give them more of a bush aesthetic. It works well enough. I mean, from a distance, it fulfills, it does what it needs to do. Now I'm just adding some boulders to the ground. These are also a meter into the ground just so they look like they're actually sitting in the ground, not just sitting on the surface. And some oaks scattered around the lawn as well, and some bushes and shrubs. Now I'm just going to add a bit of density to the tree line here, make it look like it's been growing there for a better part of a century. So what I'm doing here, this is a bit of an experiment. It is not my best effort. It's what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to draw in a hedge maze. And like I said, it's not my best effort. The problem with this sort of prop detailing right now is there's kind of a maximum density to how many props you can have in one location before they start to vanish. So when trying to draw in a hedge maze, and I think this actually happens here in some of the spots, some of the hedges will actually start to disappear, which unfortunately is not what I'm looking for. And you know, it's kind of crooked and it's not perfect, but I wasn't going to spend my entire afternoon trying to draw in a perfect hedge maze. For the most part, this is only going to be seen from a distance at an angle, so you're never really going to look at it close up. And hopefully as the modding tools improve over time, if I want to, I might be able to come back to this and improve it to version 2.0. I'm putting a little fountain in the middle and some benches, just to give people a place to sit. Now I'm going to add some this functional buildings, some barns for storage, for equipment, that sort of thing. I'm not going to go too heavy on the detailing here. I'm just going to make sure everything's straight. I'm going to put in a few trailers and stuff just to give it a bit of visual interest. And on this side, I decided to put in another barn. I'll come back and replace this barn. I didn't, when I looked at it for a while, I replaced it with one of the other ones. This one didn't seem to fit very well. Now I'm just drawing back in the fence where I think it should be. I'm going to change out the trees here on the property. This building's been here for a very long time, so the trees should reflect that. Now I'm just going to work on the transition zone between the property and the actual mountainside. And now what I'm doing is I'm adding a little neighborhood here at the base. The way I envision this is it's kind of like a more upscale neighborhood, you know, historic site, you know, property values are pretty high. I hand place most of the buildings in here to kind of get what I want. And the reason the reason why this area is going to work as more of an upscale area is because of the signature building. The signature building will have bonuses to the area to increase well-being, but that should allow for these really high-end buildings to stay here without too much trouble. If I didn't have the signature building here, I probably would get a lot of complaints about this not being a desirable place for all these buildings. But so far it seems to be working, so fingers crossed that will continue to be. And once again, I'm just going to fill it in with trees, my oak and spruce mix. Down here, I'm going to go heavy on more on the oak rather than the spruce. These trees are obviously being planted by people, so, and this is an older neighborhood, so these would be mature trees. Now I'm just doing kind of a transition zone between the heavily wooded areas to the roadside, so I'm blending planes sunk into the ground to act as bushes. I will come back in here later and add a bit of surface textures to the ground just to break it up a bit, make it a little more visually interesting. And this is the second neighborhood I'm going to install here. So this neighborhood is more your kind of classic suburban development, curvy streets, cul-de-sacs, and it's just going to be one type of home spammed throughout the entire area. And come back with the oak and spruce. I have to remember to turn off anarchy. I always forget that, and I ended up with trees, deleting trees for days because of that. I don't think I'm ever going to learn. Okay, so this is the next section I'm going to work on. I'm going to go back to a normal video here for this bit. The audio might change a bit. I'm still new at this, so things, are a bit still rough around the edges. As I learn and improve on this stuff, obviously this is going to get better. Just ask for your patience as I work it all out, and I will see you in a moment with the next segment. Okay, I did go in and add a bit of ground texture here, just to break it up a little bit. My big problem now is trying to figure out how to utilize these three sections here in front of us. Here, here, and here. Now, I did try to build something here yesterday, and it didn't work. The problem I'm having is the terrain is a bit, it's not that bad, but it's making things a bit difficult for me, especially in here, trying to get a road off of this street into this area because of this little hill area here and make it look okay. Also have this major intersection here, and I have to keep in mind that this is a highway and this is another major route that's going to come through here, so this is going to be a lot of traffic. So my big problem here is these three areas right in here, trying to decide what to build. One major issue I have with this little development here is there is no street parking at all, and none of these houses have any parking either. So I got to include something around here with a parking lot just so people have places to put their cars. Or I'm going to end up with cars all over the streets. Especially right in here. This is going to be like a pretty busy, heavy road in here, so we can't have too much cars. Now, looking at the terrain, this area shouldn't be too bad. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to continue this road.
Now, because these neighborhoods need parking, I am going to try to include some on this side. I think we'll even do it right off this main road here. So we're just going to use these pre-constructed parking lots for this. It's just going to make everything much easier for me. Now I want a couple of very large, almost like grocery stores or almost like mini malls in here. So I'm gonna for this point I'm going to hand pick a building just to get exactly what I need. Doesn't follow the road exactly. The reason I'm doing this is if I try to line buildings along this road, I'm gonna end up with all these really odd looking spaces that I'm gonna have to try to figure out what to do with. And this is just gonna be easier if I do this like this. I think we'll put another small business over here, but we might just let this one grow in. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we're just gonna zone this and let whatever grow. Like so. And that's not really what I wanted either. Hold on, okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna hand place a building here as well. I just don't want it necessarily to hug the curve like that. So we'll go back into here, and what do we have for space? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what this will do is, it's kind of weird, but this particular parking isn't necessarily for these businesses, although people will use it for that purposes, but it's more for the people over here to have places to put their cars. And I hope it gets used as such. And now I have just a little bit of area behind the businesses and before this hill. I don't really want anything in here that is too outrageous in size. So we're going to do the bush trick, sorry. Okay, so the idea here is, as I don't want large trees blocking this view, right? So yeah, that looks really good. So it's still perfect view of the hill and the house, but not and maybe just a few trees in front, but not nothing that's going to be disrupting that view. Now, just to give this a bit more interest, we're going to go in and break up the surfaces a bit more so they're not so perfect. One thing I wanted to do here, now this is something I've been working on. It's kind of a work in progress, and I'll add more as I go.
But one way I'm going to customize my city so it is just unique. Oh God, I can't say that word. Uniquely mine, and no one else's. Is I am going to start customizing the billboards and the advertisements and the signage with my own things. Now I'm going to start here. Now there is an issue here, which is a bit unfortunate, and we'll just see what it looks like. I've created all my this custom advertising. Like so. Now, it will go on the billboards, which is great. Like that. But the problem with this, and I hope somebody at some point fixes it, is I now have advertising on the backside, which is, yeah, that's not good. So I have to be a bit, when it comes to this sort of thing, I'm going to have to be a little creative about how to deal with this. Now, which means I would love to put signage like billboards along the highways and stuff, but obviously with the decals bleeding through to the back, you can't really do that everywhere. It just won't look all that great. But what I am going to do is we're going to try to hide it a little bit with some shrubbery in the back. Now, let's see. Now, that is by no means a perfect solution, and I'm not going to do too much of that. But I think the idea of adding my own custom advertisements is now I will be able to completely control what my city's about. And this is just, I think, the tip of the iceberg for this. The amount of customization that's going to be possible with this sort of thing is going to be immense. I mean, we're going to have people having very distinct looking cities, you know, I'd say a year from now. This is going to be a really common thing in this game. So I'm trying to add a little bit of fun to the advertisements. I don't want to go too crazy, but you know, I'm just trying to, like, you know, we'll feel it out as I go. But yeah, I think this can look. This is gonna look really, really good moving forward. So, and I do have a few more, and I'll place them where I feel they're appropriate. Let's see what this looks like from the backside again, just so we're. Fairly hidden. It's not too bad. I could even go a little farther here and add where are they? A few of these large, actually go for the fully mature ones here. So like I said, not a perfect solution, but I think it really kind of sets off this whole scene here really quite nicely. You know, views in cities are seldom perfect. They're always marred by something. So in front of this wonderful estate, we have, you know, ugly billboards and gas stations from the road, which I think is fine. I think. Yeah, I think this is actually a really good view of this location from here. So I'm quite happy with this. I just got to figure out what I'm gonna do
behind it here. Okay, I think I'm done filling in this area for the moment. I'll probably come back at some point and do a few minor alterations. Give us some time to see how I feel about the area. So I do at some point need to put a high school and elementary school somewhere nearby to here. It might not be in here. It could be over here. I do have to start redevelopment of the downtown area. It's probably going to be the next few builds. This is going to be a really big project to get all that in place. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I am especially happy with this view. Yeah, that is, I think, this is the shot here. I think this is exactly what I was trying to achieve with this setup. So I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, that's all for now. This has probably gone on way too long. I will talk to you all next time. If you have stuck around to the end, feel free to like the video if you found anything here helpful. Thanks for watching.